Everyone told me I was too young to get married at 23, but looking back, I still think that it was the right decision. When most of my friends were still figuring out their career path, I was already building a foundation for my marriage. Because I understood that marriage is the key to help me solidify my career path. But it's not that I didn't have anything on my hands and just wanted to get married recklessly without any preparation. So here's what I did before I got married. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I previously shared a video of how my life changed after I got married at the age of 23. The video got over 1 million views and lots of people wanted to know a little bit more details on how exactly did that happen. Of course, everything happens only by the permission of Allah, but not gonna lie to you, I wasn't someone who was unprepared either. So without going into too much details about my own personal life, I'll share some of the things that I personally believe that have helped me in the process of getting prepared for marriage. I do have to make a disclaimer that it may or may not be applicable to everyone depending on your circumstances. So simply take this as a reference and perhaps more as an inspiration if our situations happen to be aligned in some way. So the first thing I did was to plan around marriage and prioritize marriage before my other life goals. What I mean is that I knew I could only figure out what I should really do with my career once I actually get married. So I believed marriage will help me make things a lot clearer. So marriage was like a missing block for me to determine what exactly I should do with my career. Which direction should I go to? Where should I work? How long should I work? And so on. I feel that there were so many unpredictable factors that will come out of marriage. That's one of the reasons why I had a remote job with flexible hours so that it would be easier for me to arrange everything if I were to get married at any time. Talking about career, this leads to the second thing I did, which was to also focus on building a good portfolio of my career so that I could prove my abilities to provide for my future wife. I wasn't actually too focused on saving or gaining a big amount of money, but I just needed to have some evidences that could be used as a leverage to negotiate. So right after I obtained my bachelor's degree and graduated from university, I tried looking to get into big and competitive corporations, both in and outside of Taiwan. But eventually, I decided to stay close to my parents, and alhamdulillah, I got an offer to work in one of the top software companies that computer science new grads in Taiwan would fight to get in. But in the end, I actually didn't stay there for too long, partially because I started contributing to our Muslim community back then. And I feel that working at that company was taking a lot of time from me. The pressure was there, and because it's a large corporation, there wasn't too much flexibility either. So I eventually left and went for a much smaller company, but with a lot of flexibility. Now, a lot of people had been recommending me to pursue for a higher degree in doing masters. I don't want to put the blame to my childhood, but because of my upbringing and constantly moving to different countries and different schools while I was growing up, my school grades have always not been very good. And as a result, I really disliked academia and school, and I didn't have much passion to studying or researching in general. Another reason why I didn't want to pursue a master's degree back then was because I wanted to prioritize marriage, as I previously said, and I want to prioritize Hajj as well. I thought that if it's for the sake of gaining knowledge, I just didn't think it would be too late to get a degree even after getting married or even having children. And even until now, I still didn't completely eliminate the possibility of going back to academia and studying again. I actually have a plan to do so, but currently I will have to establish a solid foundation for my business first. So I believed having a good portfolio of my career could serve as something to bring onto the table if I were to negotiate with my potential spouse's family. Now, the third thing I did was that a part of just my regular job, I had personal projects and volunteering work. Back then, the projects were very small and almost insignificant compared to what they are now, but still they were quite meaningful and impactful. It's worth mentioning that pretty much all the projects and volunteering work I did didn't give me any money, but they did help me in building trust and expanding my network. So what exactly were some of these projects? One of them was Taiwan, which back then was a small website with very simple Islamic resources in Chinese and local halal information. But now it's being used by thousands of active users monthly. That wasn't just a website, but also more of an online community. So more and more people started to learn about Islam and even become Muslims through this platform. And I also had very random volunteering work experiences, such as teaching English to Syrians in Aleppo and contributing to Islamic work in Korea. And I'm not sure if I also started giving tours in the masjid back then. Because I would say I had plenty of time and I didn't want to just focus on my work at the company. And looking back right now, I really feel that it was really a luxury, because nowadays I need to reject opportunities more than accepting new opportunities due to my personal schedule. So I think it was good that I was taking advantage of the free time I had outside of my work, even though I believed I could have made it even more productive. But I had left for everything in the end. The fourth thing I did was that I had a very clear intention of getting married. I'm a shy person, but I don't feel shy at all to express my desire of getting married. In fact, ever since I had memory, I always had the desire to get married. I even remember when I was like 3 or 4 years old, I was already daydreaming what I could do with my wife after we get married. So my intention was very clear, and I didn't think that I should feel embarrassed or ashamed for something which Allah has made it halal and even encouraged. I was really surprised when I moved to Turkey in high school and realizing how common this boyfriend-girlfriend relationship exists even in Muslim communities. Before going there, I thought that it's supposed to be like a common sense for Muslims to know that we don't have such a thing as boyfriend or girlfriend or romantic relationship before marriage. But apparently people still do. So anyways, since I had a clear intention of getting married, I let my parents know about it too. And I really just relied on my parents for this in the end, because I was aware that they had a wider network and it's supposed to be easy for them somehow to find someone suitable. Of course, I only realized how hard it actually is after launching my own matchmaking service. But back then, I also wasn't too happy, because I thought that I could actually find someone on my own, and I didn't really believe in the concept of family introductions. I was quite skeptical about it. I just thought that it would be very awkward, like, how can I gain attraction to someone whom I didn't meet myself? But after marriage, I can confidently tell you that family introduction or matchmaking is indeed the way to go. You need different perspectives and testimonials so that you can build trust. And once you have the trust as the foundation, then it's easier to develop a relationship on top of it. If you look out for potential spouses on your own and make the judgment on your own, you can easily ignore many character traits that are either beneficial for you or harmful for you. And if you do not have any family involvement during the process, that could be extremely risky. But of course, family involvement should be present during the searching process, not during the marriage itself. And that is something that I wish somebody had emphasized to me earlier. Now, back to the point, I think the importance of having a clear intention in marriage is often forgotten and underestimated. Marriage isn't as simple as just being a sunnah, but something that will impact all aspects of your life. And one of the greatest ways for personal growth and also getting closer to Allah. So this leads to the fifth thing, which is the focus on personal growth. I know that marriage is going to be the key element in helping myself grow into a better version of myself, but I had to first focus on improving myself, whether spiritually or emotionally, intellectually, or physically. If I had the chance again, I would focus more on this part. But what I did back then was that I spent a lot of time alone and learning about the deen and listening to many Islamic lectures when taking public transportation, before going to sleep, while I was working. So I made myself immersed into that environment and constantly learning something new about the religion. However, one thing I would also wish I spent more time back then was to take courses related to marriage or attend marriage-related workshops. Because in the end of the day, listening to the lectures, it does give you an idea of how marriage is supposed to look like. But the ideal image of marriage is always different than the actual marriage. And the reality of marriage is that it's far more complicated than how we expect them before getting married. And the last thing I did, you could ignore all the other things I did, but this one thing is something that every single person should be doing, which is constantly making dua and praying istikhara. Because in the end of the day, whether you get married or not, whether you get married to the right person or not, without Allah's permission, none of it would happen. And even if it does or does not happen, you'll know that all of this is part of Allah's plan, and you will accept whatever outcome Allah has decreed for you. So making dua not only will help you in achieving your goals, but also be a source of comfort that reminds you that the ultimate plan of Allah is always better for us. Of course, these are the internal factors in which I was able to control or change with my own hands, but we can't ignore the fact that external factors also play a big role in deciding how easy the marriage process is going to be, including your family structure, including your family network, the overall economy of the country, the reality of people who are actually compatible with you, and so on. All of these are factors that we can't necessarily do anything about other than asking Allah to make it easy for us and following whatever from the asbab, the means in which Allah has provided us to follow, and try out which path can ultimately lead us to success. And if my family didn't have the right network, it would have been extremely difficult for me to look for someone righteous and compatible, especially in Taiwan where I'm currently living. And I know that there are many brothers like me out there who are still struggling, which is one of the reasons why I created a space for those who have the right intentions and are serious but not having the right connections to get married. So definitely check out the link in the description if that is what you have been struggling with. And lastly, I sincerely pray to Allah to ease your affairs and grant you whatever is best for you and help us build a stronger and righteous ummah for the future generations to come. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.